Hi friends, what if I told you there's a simple 30-minute exercise that could get you over the roadblocks in your life, things that are holding you back from achieving your dreams and your plans? I know because about 3 months ago I came across Tim Ferris's fear setting, a technique that allowed me to get over something that had held me back for 5 years. I'm Brian D'Souza, doctor, medical entrepreneur and novice YouTube blogger, and this YouTube channel and my blog was something that I've been planning to do for 5 years and simply delayed, procrastinated, and avoided until I came across this simple technique. Fear setting is essentially a way of defining your worst nightmares, quantifying them, and getting over them. I won't describe it in great detail because Tim does a much better job in the video I'm going to link below, but nonetheless, I'll cover it in some basic detail and I'm going to go through my fear setting, which I used in my particular circumstance. There are 3 pages to fear setting. On the first page, you define your nightmares. On page 2, you define what success could possibly mean for you. And on the third page, you define what inaction would mean for you, especially in the long term. So let's get started with it. My dream was to start up a YouTube channel and a blog to help younger doctors optimize their life, get to financial independence, and learn a thing or two about business and medical entrepreneurship so they could be financially independent sooner than they would have otherwise. What held me back? Well, for 5 years, I was afraid and procrastinated and delayed and almost abandoned the project. Simply my fears and my nightmares about putting myself out there. And if any of this resonates with you, then I would strongly recommend you try fear setting in your life. My nightmare was that this would be a total flop and a humiliation, and I broke it down into my 5 sub-nightmares as following. Firstly, I would make a fool of myself in front of other people. I don't know anything, I'm not an expert, other people will be better than this, people will poke holes in what I'm doing, show flaws in the way I've done it or the way I've presented it, and all sorts of other limiting and dysfunctional beliefs that held me back. Secondly, I would make a fool of myself in front of myself. I'd put in a huge amount of work and effort and build something, and you know what? Nobody would come, and how the hell would I feel about that myself? Thirdly, this would be a huge amount of hard work, and at the end of the day, I may not even get paid for it. So why even bother? I have a great job that pays well. I could put in all those hours into my career and it would work out so much better. Does any of this sound familiar? And I was going to stop at numbers 1, 2, and 3, but I dug deep and came up with numbers 4 and 5. And that was really quite a revelation to me. So items 4 and 5 on this list were scarcity and comparison. If I started this blog and other doctors ended up being more successful than me as a result, I would compare myself and feel bad about this. And furthermore, if they became rich, perhaps there'd be less money in the world for me. And these are truly dysfunctional beliefs, which I thought I'd left behind long ago, but clearly I hadn't. They are still deep down in there. So I really encourage you to dig deep when it comes to this page to see what within you is holding you back. I'm not proud of these beliefs, but clearly they're still there and I need to work on them. Once I went through column 1, which was difficult, column 2 and 3 were relatively easy. And to be honest, most of the remedies and the preventions were the same across all 5 of the sub-nightmares. I didn't have to be the best at everything or a guru, I could simply be a guide. I'm simply an ordinary doctor who's been moderately successful, who's trying to help younger versions of myself to have an easier path through life. I don't have to be an expert or a guru. Does it really matter what other people think of me? And in fact, most people won't care anyway. Page 2 is much more fun. It asks you to define what success would mean to you, even if you are moderately successful. For me, there may be some financial benefits in terms of income or a saleable business, but the real revelation for me was the non-financial benefits. The prospect of making new friends, having a new grand adventure in life, networking, opportunities, travel, speaking, self-actualization, self-confirmation. And so having done that, I moved on to page 3, which is what would be the cost of inaction? And this was truly scary, because if I chose to do nothing, I honestly believe that sooner or later the flame in me, the flame that believes that things can get better, that the best is yet to come, would eventually die. Because we all have this flame in us, but if we let it die, if we do not tend it, then life just becomes one long humdrum existence without the purpose and optimism that keeps us alive. So having got to the end of the exercise, I looked at the downsides and the upsides as I defined and tried to quantify these on a score of 1 to 10. And I worked out that really the downsides amounted to maybe a 2 or 3 out of 10, and they were likely to be temporary and preventable. But the upside was maybe an 8 to 9 and much more likely to happen. It was an absolute no-brainer to proceed, and hence I've made my very first video, which is what you're watching here. I really hope you found this useful because I found it absolutely transformative. I've done fear setting and really defined my fears and worked out what it is that's holding me back. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, or just drop by again. And meanwhile, have a great day.